G'day, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of Magpie Season's Collingwood Discussion. Hope you guys can hear me all right. Welcome back, guys. Second stream for the channel. Very exciting times. Continuing on with our, very positive, assessment of Collingwood in recent times. I was thinking to myself yesterday, if I'd have started doing this 6 or 7 months ago, the tone would have been completely different, but it's good to see that we can actually be positive about the club at this current point in time. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be a Pies fan. And to be honest, I just wanted to jump on and speak to you guys about what's been happening recently, what our thoughts are, especially about ins and outs and trades. Obviously, we're going to be recording our very first actual podcast on Monday with Swoop Luke. So we'll do that live as well. So make sure you bookmark that one. It'll probably be, around 6-7 o'clock after work. But yeah, just depending on the busy man Swoop when he's ready, the legend himself. But yeah, good to see you guys in there. G'day, Kev. G'day, Sean. Good to see you guys. Ready for a good one. Hopefully we can get some good discussion in. Yeah, I just wanted to start off talking, a little bit about some of the trade rumors that have been going around. Obviously, Sam Wiedemann today announced that he's signed a 2-year deal with Melbourne. I'm pretty upset about this one, as you guys would probably know. I'm a big fan of Sam, big fan of Weeds, and I was devastated when I heard he was going back, staying at Melbourne, I should say. But, in saying that, there's the other options on the table. Obviously, Nathan Kruger during the week was signalling that he is going to nominate Collingwood as his choice of club heading into free agency, which is awesome. Had a look at his highlights, had a look at what he can do. And yeah, we'll chat about him and we'll chat about some other things going on. Michael Voss, obviously, Voss the Boss, announced as Carlton coach today. Banter FC back again. That club's going to be in the mud, hopefully, for a very, very long time. I got some good family and some good friends. My whole actual side of my other family, I should say, my mum's side of the family is all Carlton. I have about 18 cousins on that side. So, I'm always hoping and praying that Collingwood are slightly ahead. And I think, they've no doubt copied our process. But hopefully, the guys that we've already got around Craig McRae, the work he's been able to do, he's got a bit of a head start. Hopefully we'll see the fruits of that, going into next season. And yeah, I'm really excited. So yeah, Sean saying here, we'll probably have Ben King in 2 years, so we'll probably miss out on him completely, unfortunately. Yeah, look, it's interesting with Wiedemann. I was speaking to Gordo on Twitter today, and he said, he made a good tweet speaking about how if it wasn't for the Wiedemann name, we probably wouldn't be as excited as we'd expect. And you know what? I'm all about bringing famous names back to the club, but he's probably right. There's better options out there, no doubt. CFC 1892 popping up. Don't worry, we'll develop Tonic and Henry in the meantime. Forget the weed. Yeah, I'm forgetting the weed, man. But I don't know. If anyone's seen what I say on Twitter, what I've said on Swoop's channel in the past, even our discussion last week, I was a big fan of weed. And I think there was a lot of untapped potential there. And there's a reason Melbourne have re-signed him, even with their, current key forward depth. But good to see a CFC, the Wallop fam in the chat. Let's fucking go. All right. I'll chuck the link in the chat. If anyone wants to hop on, please do join in. Come say g'day. Let's chat Collingwood. Got me coffee, by the way, as always. Beverage of choice. Can't go past it. Sean's in here. Let's get him in. My man's ready. He's always got his Collingwood background as well. Get in here, mate. What's happening?
Am I on? Hey,
mate.
I'm just trying to unmute as well.
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, everything's going on at the moment. How are we?
Yeah, no, not bad, mate. It's hard to be upset when you're a Pie supporter at the moment. It's very weird.
Tell me about it.
I'm wrapped.
Yeah, especially with how Carlton are going, and then they finish above us, and then they're still just as delusional as what they've always been. But always happy for some Carlton banter. But we'll leave the irrelevant things to the side and talk about Collingwood.
Absolutely. Is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about, mate? thinking about bringing up the Mason Cox situation, I think that's very interesting. What are your thoughts on that? With him coming out in the media and saying that he's happy to leave Collingwood if he thinks it's for the best of the club. What do you think about
that? First and foremost, I do like and appreciate Cox. I feel like when it comes to someone like himself, regardless of like what he does, you're kidding yourself if you haven't been like entertained by him. Obviously, this like last year's, it was obviously clearly he was a bit sort of like in and out, and normally, especially because his main thing is like he's extremely tall, and a lot of tall players when they play bad, they look a lot worse than say like a midfielder, for example. I did. I can't remember where I said it, but a lot of his issues are not necessarily his fault. Like a lot of it, can also be midfield delivery. With potentially getting someone like a Lipinski helps that. We can definitely shore up a lot of things on that end. I wouldn't be against keeping him, but then at the same time, you need to get rid of guys to bring in like your Lipinskis, your Krugers, your Dacos, and your Dibs. So,
and he's in a lot of money as well, Coxie. He's on a lot of money. He's not a cheap player.
And he's 30 as well. Like, he's only got maybe, especially because he's a big guy. He's got 2 years left because you don't normally see big guys go past 32.
Some of the ruckmans have challenged that. Like I think Tyson Goldstein will probably go till 33, 34. Aaron Sandilands was 34, but I think Coxie's a little bit different. But in saying that, his body also wasn't, copping the abuse that AFL players cop for, his early 20s. That could work in his favour, but I'll chip in. I reckon the experiment is over. That's the way I look at Coxie. I think he's been a fantastic servant, and I loved what he had to say on Fox Sports. If you haven't seen that article, definitely give it a read. But he bigged up Craig McRae, and he spoke about, got a car going past us, mate.
Probably shouldn't mention where I live, but
that's all right.
I think it was a motorbike. I think.
Anyway, he spoke really well about the club, and I love to see that. I think Mason Cox is a fantastic human being and a good guy. But then as in the words of the legendary CFC 1892, that prelim final was biblical. That's stuff that we'll never forget. But for me, I think it's time to move on from Coxie.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, it's like sort of, I don't know how to put this in the right words, but basically, it's having to let go of something that it's I don't know. I don't want to really get into this area too much, but it's kind of like when you're in that relationship and like sort of like it was really good, but it has to end.
Yeah.
So it's like as you're going through the process and the emotions and stuff, it's like it's going to end, but then it's like the sense of when it finishes, you're only thinking about the good things.
Yeah, Sean, the love doctor. The love doctor.
No, don't. You can definitely go to a lot more better avenues than me. That's for sure. God, that could have been taken out of context too. Jesus Christ.
No, you're right.
Yeah, but no, like it is that thing of because even people that hate Cox, if you're gonna sit here and tell me that you weren't entertained by his bloopers or when he would screw things up, you're lying. Because
exactly.
Some of the things I believe I think we played Geelong one game, and it would have been his third or fourth year, and he was getting tackled as he was going over the point line, and he literally just threw the ball back into play. If you're not laughing at that, you don't know humour. Then just knowing that at that point he was the American experiment and he's trying to learn how to play the game. That whole narrative too. We definitely got entertainment from him, so there was definitely value he brought.
The thing with me for Coxie is like he's a character as well. He's a character, and you look at our most successful teams across generations, especially the one our last premiership. There were genuine characters in that team and guys that you looked at and you thought, yeah, they're interesting guys. Like I like the way they go about it. Like the famous Rat Pack. The Rat Pack will never ever ever be forgotten, but it's because they were characters and they were guys that you could relate to a little bit as players. And we got guys that cover so many different avenues in terms of personality in this team, and that's why I think it's got a lot of potential. And why having a relationship builder like McRae is going to be huge for us.
Yeah, no, McRae. The fact that we're getting McRae in, a lot of positive things have been said about him, and all of it. If it's not going to happen, it's going to happen to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've just got no bad things to say about the guy, and just the fact that he has. I think as well. I don't know if people fully realize or at the very least understand. Like he's. Not coaching pedigree, but like the coaches he's been coached under. Oh, no, or is it the other way around? Either way, like the clubs he's gone to like Collingwood, where he was coached by Moldhouse. He went to Hawthorn, where he was coached by Clarkson. He went to Richmond, where he was coached by Hardwick. At those points that it all happened where a bunch of success happened, or I mean, in our case, it was going to happen. Like I stand by that by a country mile because. Yeah, probably best not to get too much into it, but yeah, like he went to so many successful environments, and then on top of that too, he was a part of the Brisbane's team when he was playing as well. So
exactly.
The guy, regardless if he was a part of it or not, he was still in every environment he went in. There was success, and. Obviously, with the group that we have, it's not gonna it's gonna take a bit of time to get things like finals experience, players connecting well, and all those things, which maybe next season there might be just a year where we just try to figure that out because there's every chance say player A just doesn't get the system, so he sort of, I guess by media standards, he's like the disgruntled player. Like there's always going to be a couple like that. So who they're going to be, we obviously don't know, and if it's even going to happen, we don't know. But in saying that, I still stand by 2028. We're winning our 17th premiership. So.
Yeah, well, that's your big goal, and I love that ambition. And
then I spoke to Kevin about that, and then I think it was like 2 days later, I saw he said 3 and 6. I'm like, oh, I probably spoke too much.
Probably spoke too soon.
Oh no,
it's very exciting. There obviously are a lot of uncertainties that we need to be careful of and we need to be wary of. Carlson put in the chat as well, is Cox out of contract? I don't believe he is. Is Cox out of contract? I don't think so. I think he's still got another year or two, doesn't he? But I'd have to check that.
Yeah, because didn't Jen post that out of contract and he wasn't on it?
Yeah, he definitely wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
I believe he's contracted. The thing with me is, you look at what we've done in terms of our drafting and the mistakes that we've made. We talk about the Stevenson instead of Norton. Trading first round picks for Beams. Making those types of mistakes. The club that you want to emulate is undoubtedly Richmond. And as much as I hate Richmond, purely because they're so good, I've got family members that are Richmond supporters as well. And I loved them when they won that flag in 2017. But on and off the field, they are exceptional. Going into this draft, they have the strongest draft hand going around. I think, I was reading about it today. Let me get it up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they've got 3 first rounders or something.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. They've got pick 7, 15, 26, and 28. So, they've got the potential to trade that up for pick 3 from Gold Coast. They have a very, very strong draft hand, and that's a team that won a premiership not even a year ago. So that's the part that we want to head down. So hopefully, and with Graham Wright, we speak about it quite often. He's made a lot of changes, and I'm a big fan of the hashtag In Right We Trust because he is doing some incredible work. And that's what I want to continue to see. I think it's really important that we keep that up.
Well, I guess one thing to maybe put forward as well, what would your thoughts be in terms of, because I do believe that, which is so weird because I think I even mentioned it somewhere, was that since 2006, the lowest we've ever finished was like 13th.
Yeah.
But for some reason, in terms of narrative across the league, we're considered that annoying bottom four side or that bottom four side that can't play, which is so funny.
Yeah, it's frustrating, mate. But that's Collingwood. At the end of the day, that's Collingwood. The media knows it. Other fans know it. Everyone loves to hate us, especially when we're good, and probably even more when we're bad. It's genuinely just a wind up, and I wouldn't buy into it at all. Like even last year when people had us as biggest sliders, I don't know how much truth there was in that. We'd lost 2 or 3 players. It ended up being a poor season in retrospect, but at the same time, we lost most of our games by less than 30 points. There's games in there that you turn 3 or 4 of those around, you're very close to finishing in the 8. So it's a narrative, and it's not something that I'd read into, to be honest. I think it's all crap.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I won't read into it myself as well. But even then, even if you want to, I don't know, in a sense, capitalize on it, what's, I don't know, stopping us from, I guess taking our future first round and say, trading it with, I don't know, hypothetically, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be the worst prediction to say, Carlton's going to finish bottom 4. If we have the season that we think that we're going to have, is there a chance? It probably won't happen, but I'm saying, even if we did something like that, I think would be pretty good because, I don't see it's finishing. I personally think if we get the off-season targets that, at least I'm thinking of on the top of my head at the moment, I think that if we're not making finals, we're only just missing by maybe a win or two. Especially with Kruger coming in, it's you can't even say that he's and obviously for good reasons that he can play both forward and back just as well. I guess there's probably going to have to be a decision at some point, but even then, to have him either forward or back, just to get a player like that is massive, and Lipinski just add a bit of speed.
Yeah. I think Kruger will be deployed as a forward, I'd say, at least to start. I think the back line at the start of next season, hopefully.
I think the fact that because we got because Wiedemann re-signed, and I don't think we'll get Brendan now. Brendan looks like he's going to, was it Geelong that had interest? And because we're taking Kruger from Geelong, I feel like they'll get Brandon now. Yeah. So there's not a whole bunch of key forwards that we're picking up. So I guess Kruger by not that he's a bad default, but I guess that.
The issue is with him he's untried. He's untried at AFL level. So that's where my concern arises. I'm more excited to see Ash Johnson next year. I'm very excited to see him play. He's had a couple of years now playing at senior level in the Sandful, and especially not last year, the year before. His highlight reel for a guy playing Sandful footy is pretty superb. And I think he's the type of guy that we're looking for. A guy with a little bit of X factor. Sean, thanks for coming on, mate. I'm probably going to jump. We'll let one of the other boys in, but I appreciate it as always, mate.
Yeah, just speaking about Sandful, Stengel's going to tear.
We'll chat about Stengel.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to do as soon as you hop off is speak about Stengel.
Yeah, I would. All right, I'll see you.
All right, mate. Easy. See you, mate. Thanks for coming on.
All good.
All right. Carlson, good comment. Tom, good to see you as well, by the way. Might be a year for trading or delisting a few. Not many have done much wrong this year. Injuries and players out of position have made it hard to tell where they're at. Well, this was my thing with Buckley. And the boys on Pie Hard were speaking about it as well. Square pegs, round holes. One thing that Buckley did very, very often was play players in the position that they weren't naturally meant to play in, which was frustrating. But at the same time, there's guys like Jay Rantel, who was pretty highly rated in his draft year, and we haven't seen a lot of him. And when we have, he's been deployed as a small forward, which isn't where he wants to play. So, yeah, it's very interesting. The guys that I'd be looking to get rid of off the top of my head, I say it pretty often, Mason Cox, Braden Sire, who looks like he's going to stay now. So that's done a 180. Trying to think who else I'd move on. I'd give Mark Keane one more year, Tom Wilson one more year, these types of guys, but I'd be looking at long-term replacements for them too. And obviously we've got our kids coming through, so they're going to add a lot of spark, and hopefully another preseason, another 6-7 months of development, we're looking good. Tom says thoughts on Josh Caddy. We are rumored to be into him. I mean, Josh Caddy, if you had asked me 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago when he couldn't get a game at Richmond at the start, where he was starting to get moved out, I probably would have said yes. But now I think he's past it, Caddy. What is he, 30 years of age? Richmond are very good with their business. They'll probably demand a fair bit for him, even though he's not in their best 22. So I'd preferably rather go after Tyson Stengel, who I said with Sean is who we were going to speak about. Now, Tyson Stengel has been tearing it up in the Sandville recently, doing some very, very good things. An exciting player. He's got a lot of X factor, which is what I think our team needs. Our team needs a little bit of X factor, someone that can come in and just get you out of your seat. I think back to DeGoey when he was a full-time forward. There were games where I would just be standing in awe of him because the things that he'd do were just awesome. I think back to that specky that he took on Dylan Grimes in 2019. Runs around and kicks the goal. Those are the types of moments. Those are the reasons you go to the footy. Me personally, I wouldn't go Caddy. I wouldn't go anywhere near him. But maybe as a pure forward, he might be half decent. I think with the profile of our list, though, guys, we need to be looking for people in their prime. 25 to 28, that age bracket, maybe 23, 24, to 28. I want to avoid those guys that are 30, going on 31, 32. We have a fair few guys at that age. And when we lose them, it's really going to hurt. So I'd be looking at guys 25 to 28 or, really young and can develop. Bazza says, JT, what's happening with JT? He's obviously out of contract. I'd be more than happy to let him go. I think I think JT's been a servant to Collingwood. I think he deserves heaps of credit for what he's done, how he turned his career around. It looked dead in the water a little bit there, but he's a really nice guy. I've actually met him on campus at uni, and he's a lovely dude. Stopped and had a chat with me, and he's a great guy. But he's in the same bracket. He's 30 now, out of contract. I'd be happy to let him go. I don't think there's a big loss there. And then Sean as well, saying that he'd pass on Caddy, and I don't see why we'd go for a guy like that. It just doesn't fit the profile of what we're trying to build. And I don't think he's that good anymore, to be honest. So, all right, I'll get Kev in. Kev, you ready to go? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, sweet. All right, come in, mate.
What's going on? Not much. I recently joined Twitter as well. And I
saw that.
Twitter. So,
I saw that, mate. Thanks for the follow. Good to see you.
That's all right.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I made a post on Twitter and I put on Facebook as well. I said that we'll win 3 premierships in 6 years, and I explained why in a separate video on why I think that. And I think it's because if we bring in the players and make the right choices, like Kruger, Lipinski, and all the rest, I think that we can start to see success. And with the coach like McRae, and we got Lepich in as well, I can't see why not, man. I really can't. I can see us doing what Richmond Hawthorn do. And I know that's pretty outrageous to say that. And Swoop League said last night as well, if that's ever the case, he's going to call me up and get a tattoo with my name on it, but I truly do believe it.
The reason I side with you, Kev, is because we're a powerhouse. You know, Collingwood's a powerhouse, and I like going back to what Paul Acuria said in his Squawk with Swoop. He spoke about dropping our ego a bit, and I completely agree with that. But at the same time, history never goes away. History doesn't disappear, and the history of this football club is there for everyone to see. We are the biggest footballing institution in the country, without a doubt. So, you know, I agree with you. We're going to start humble. Don't get me wrong. I think the next couple of years are going to be tough, but in the next, 5, 6, 7 years, if we do, like you said, and it's a big if, these things don't just happen. We got to trust the people in charge that they'll make the right decisions. We need good decisions. We need people to make those calls. They may be tough. They may make us worse in the short term, but hopefully in the long run, we'll be in a much better position.
Well, that's it. And a lot of teams have to start rebuilding eventually. Like you did Geelong's. Carlton never used to wanted to rebuild. Like their attitude was, we don't need to. We had to back in the late 90s to I think early 2000s. Well, when we had like a mini rebuild, and even now we've started to rebuild. It's just like, well, eventually we're gonna have to go through this period of rebuilding for the short term, and then working out, okay, if we can win 3 premierships or 5 premierships in 20 years or 10 years or something, I think we should just go for that as a goal.
Yep.
And if we win 3 and 6 or 4 and 6, I'll be happy, and I'll be happy to take the credit for saying it. Because,
mate, if we won 4 flags in 6 years, I'd be you could just about write me off. I think I'd be the happiest man in the world. I don't think I'd be able to handle that, to be honest. But I liked what Licker said, and I love what you're saying. 3 flags in 6 years, etc. He said 5 in 20. Now I know 20 years is a long time, but if you offered me 5 flags in 20 years, I'd take that. I'd take that. I would definitely take that. If I saw 5 flags in the next 20 years of my life, I'd be a very happy man. But the great thing is, Kev, like you said, every team has to rebuild eventually. The system's designed so teams have to rebuild. We're seeing it with Richmond now. We just got to make sure our rebuild is done properly. So, what are your thoughts on that? How do you think we go about our rebuild to make sure it's successful?
Well, I think, the main players, Phillips, Stevenson, Trelaw, even James Aish at one point, where he was unfortunately part of our salary cap, and we had to try and reduce that as much as possible. The beam, still looking back at now, you think, oh yeah, what a great romantic thing that would happen, but then that's biting us on the arse. I think if we can get rid of guys like Cox, Braden Side, which he made, like no one's offering him now. It's pretty. It's unexpected. Like it really is unexpected. So I think we got to get rid of those two. I keep Josh Thomas for a year or two at least.
Okay.
The latest.
Why is that? Why would you keep him, Kev?
I think it's for leadership up in that forward line. Same thing with Sidebottom and Pendles as well. I think you keep them. I will not have Pendles captain next year. I give it to either Braden Maynard or Taylor Adams, or maybe a Jordan DeGoey. And then that way you can develop them as leaders, and that way you can help them along the journey. And we know that Pendles isn't going to last forever. We know Sidey's going to retire eventually. We know that Josh Thomas will end up leaving at one point. Mason Cox, I think it's time for him. And he's been great for the club. I really do. And I respect the way that he goes about it. But I think it comes to a point where if we're going to have to make tough decisions, we got to do it now. If we don't do it now, it's just going to bite us on the arse, and it's going to get to a point where it's going to take a lot longer to rebuild, and then we're going to end up being on the slide, and then the attitude is, we're going to play finals, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, look, we know we're on the slide. But
I completely agree. Like, if you look at the Beams deal, like you said, that's bitten us bad. But, that's going to be gone in about a year. I think when was his contract supposed to finish? I don't know if it was this year or next year, but that liability will be gone. Or is he mutually parted ways?
Yeah, wasn't it a 5-year deal or something? I'm pretty sure.
Either way,
someone in chat can
that financial liability is going to be behind us very soon. Cox hopefully will be gone this year. The Chalor, whatever we're paying him will be done in 2 years, 3 years. That's a lot of money coming back into the account in a couple of years' time. So, if we can get ready, and Sean loves to speak about how we're going to go after Ben King in 2 years. If we want Ben King, we're going to need a war chest. So, in about 2 or 3 years' time, we're going to have a lot of money in the bank. I want to just bring up this question, Kev, and ask you about it as well. Carlson's asked about, would we move Magin on at 28 years old? So there's guys that we could pick up as replacements, Oscar Claverino, maybe someone like Rhett Bazzo. What do you think? What would you do with Madge?
I would keep him, but I play him in defence. He's not a utility. He's not a forward.
Yeah.
He's a backman, if that. Maybe on interchange and have him on the halfback flank if we, for whatever reason, we get an injury. But other than that, I think Magin we need to keep. He's 28, turning 29. I think it's either this year or next. So I think if we can keep him for a couple more years, or maybe for just a year, and then make that tough call, or wherever the case is, at least with that, we need experience. Because don't forget, we got Jordan Rufford, who's got 2 years left. Jeremy Howe, he might have a year or two left. So we need some of our players to step up now and actually go, right, we can take an advantage of it. Let's get these guys as experienced as possible, get them up playing senior footy, get them exposed, and that way we can go, right, now we can really, have competition for spots. And it starts at VFL as well. Shorter season, that didn't help the situation either.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we, hopefully next year, there'll be no more lockdowns here in Victoria, and we can just get along to going to the footy, watching the VFL play, and go, right, this play will come in, this play will come in, this has to go, this play has to be dropped. But other than that, it's the situation that we are in. It sucks.
Absolutely, mate. But yeah, I love your insight. Your insight's always fantastic. There's another question here that I think is pretty interesting. Now, would Kruger be in our round one team? I'd have him at full forward with Myercheck centre half forward, perhaps Johnson as a third tall. Now, Tom, with this one, if we get Kruger in, the first week or two of the trade period, he has a full off season, he impresses Craig McRae and the rest of the staff. I think there's no reason why he wouldn't be in there. But naturally, I think if we think about it, logically, there's a very experienced player there in Darcy Cameron, and I think although I don't particularly rate Darcy Cameron, I don't think he's the solution going forward. I refer to him as the statue. I think he's a great player, but he's just too slow to play as a key forward. He's a ruck / forward in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. So, if he impresses, remember he's only played 2 AFL games as well, so he needs to take his spot away from him. You never know though. Injuries happen, things happen. I definitely have Myercheck in, but then a Myercheck's one that we might even look to trade. I feel like he could be the shock trade of the off season. And then we've got Ash Johnson as well.
Happen, that would be devastating.
It would be, but I definitely have Ash Johnson playing for sure as a third tall. I think he's a great option. But yeah, elite comment, mate. Thanks for that.
With
Kruger in as
Kruger,
go on, Kev.
With Kruger, I don't know. Prefer to have him in, but he needs to train the house down. He needs to impress from day one of training. So I don't know how much we're going to pay for his salary, but I think he needs to start improving himself and impressing us, because you can't just play a player without not with 2 games of footy and then go, right, here's our solution, when I think that he might need to start playing a few scratch matches or a few practice matches as well to get his confidence up. If he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, then he plays in the VFL, and then we can bring him in case of form or injuries or something like that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like Darcy Cameron as a ruckman as well. I think he's not a bad tap ruckman. He's definitely got the build for it, and I think if you look at our clearance work, in the season gone by, when Grundy was out and we had Lynch and Cameron rotating into the ruck, guys that are more tap ruckman, we were a lot better. We were a lot better around the clearance. We were more efficient. And I rate Grundy extremely highly. I think he's a fantastic player. But it's something that he needs to work on. And hopefully, the new midfield coaching group, whether it be Dale Tapping that comes in or the guys that are there now, can work it out, because it's just not quite right. We haven't clicked in the midfield. There's definitely the right players there.
That's been a downfall for a couple of years too.
Yeah.
That has really been a downfall. The 2019 prelim, Brody Grundy had 70 hitouts or something, but yet how many of those went to our players? Yeah. I feel like he doesn't do what he used to do, like smack it out of the middle and go forward, or grab it out of the ruck and kick it forward.
Well, I think Grundy's biggest strength is his ability to follow up his own tap when it's on the ground. Now, if you're tapping the ball to the opposition directly, you don't give yourself any chance to have an impact at ground level, because they get clean possession, they're gone. Obviously, you're not going to win every ruck tap, but I think with Grundy, what he should be doing, if he can't get it to a Collingwood player, he should just look for neutral territory, because then he can use his body and how much more agile he is to his advantage. That's my thoughts on him.
Yeah, pretty much.
For sure.
All right, well, I better let you go, because I'm getting called for dinner. Otherwise,
no worries, mate.
Chat with you for a lot longer. But thank you for having me on. And
always,
whenever you do this again, I'm quite happily to jump on.
Yeah, easy, mate. No worries. Well, definitely remind yourself. We'll be doing the podcast with Luke on Monday. So
we'll do. I'll keep an eye on
make sure you get some questions ready, because hopefully me and him will have a big discussion, and there'll be heaps of opportunity to speak to both of us.
Cheers, man. No problem.
Easy, mate. Take it easy. All the best. Yeah. Oh, I cut off Kev. My bad. Okay, let's have a look. Don't forget we have Aiden Begg, who's 200 centimeters. Yes, definitely. But Beggy's he's a young guy. He's a young guy, Beggy. How old is he at the moment? I actually want to have a look. Let's set him up. Aiden Begg. Like, if you actually have a look at him, like a photo, he's quite a skinny lad. I think it's because he's quite young as well. Like, he's only just turned 18. So, there's a lot of development that needs to go into him. And I think with key position players, they need a little bit of extra time just to put that size on. I think back to Darcy Moore when he first came across, how skinny he was. Even now, he's still a lean guy, but he's got so much more muscle that he's built over a long period of time. But yeah, not a bad comment, Tom. I like that. AP, Cameron can take a grab as well. We don't have many players who can. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Darcy's taken some clutch grabs in the past. The thing that was synonymous with Malthouse footy was, our ability as a side to go down the boundary line and win the 50-50 contest, whether it was Travis Cloak or, Josh Fraser or Darren Jolly taking big marks, Dawes even at times. We were so good at taking a mark down the line and being able to maintain possession, and then we eventually we just chop you up. Darcy Cameron can be that guy, but I think he's more of a ruckman. I don't see him as a full forward purely because he's too slow. He's too slow, and I don't particularly rate him either. But when we got that Beams deal over the line, we should have been looking at, we definitely should have been looking at old mate Tom Lynch. And I know we were in for him, but that's the player that we needed. And then, we miss out, and Eddie goes screaming and kicking after Dane Beams, which was a massive mistake, which has hurt us. So, yeah, it is what it is. That fourth quarter comeback against Geelong after Grundy went down was partly because of Cameron, I think. More hit-out advantage in the fourth than Grundy had for 2.5 quarters. You're exactly right. And, Grundy, as much as I love him, it's something that we're going to have to look at in the future. I think renegotiating that contract, because we can't afford to have a ruckman on $1 million a season. I think it's very... I'd say we overpaid him probably by about $300,000 a season just to keep hold of him. Me and Max, we had this conversation during the week speaking about, I would have personally let Grundy go, pick one and Riley O'Brien. So we would have Riley O'Brien as our ruckman, and we would have got Riley Filthorpe in the draft. I think that's a good trade. Like, personally, I would have taken that and I would have let him go, but it is what it is. Guys, I'm going to chuck the link again in the chat, so if anyone wants to hop in, feel free. Okay. With fly coaching, Grundy will be in All-Australia next season. I wouldn't be surprised. Grundy's numbers are incredible. He's so good. So good. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Sean, you can definitely renegotiate a contract. If both parties are willing. Look at Geelong in the last couple of years. How many players do you think, like, on their list would have taken pay cuts? Sorry, excuse me. Richmond, exactly the same. Like, there's no way they would have fit Lynch into their cap had they not renegotiated deals. So definitely necessary. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm actually not used to speaking this long, and it's very, very odd getting used to it again. But honestly, I wanted to get up some stuff about Nathan Kruger and have a look at him. So let's have a look here. Let's get these numbers up. See what he looks like. I'm pretty sure I can share my screen, so I might do that. All right, one sec. What is going on with me? Sorry, guys. I hope that's not too loud. Okay. Let's have a look here. Nathan Kruger. Okay, so he's listed as a key defender. 22 years of age, 196 centimeters, 93 kilos. Looks good. Okay, those numbers, obviously not great. Tackles are elite, actually, which is interesting. But he's only played 2 games, so keep that in mind. Tom, how did I go with the earthquake yesterday? Mate, it woke me up. I was quite surprised, to be honest. It was very funny. In saying that, though, I hope everyone is well. I do apologise if your coordinate or, anything was damaged. But I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Okay. Let's have a look here. Date of birth. Okay, so he's born 99. He's a year older than me. 22. Going on 23 next year. I think this is a great pickup. I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. I don't think we can really go wrong here. He's a guy that I'd definitely be taking. Would almost be a stab in the back if we traded Myercheck on the rookie list for so long. Last year accepted a contract. I don't have COVID, by the way. My voice has just given up on me. I mean, absolutely. I think it would be a stab in the back, but is it a decision that we need to make right now? Maybe. Maybe that's a ruthless decision we need to make. Could probably get quite a bit for him as well, which wouldn't be bad. But that's my opinion. I have some pretty controversial opinions. Like if you're asking me, if I was Collingwood's list manager, I'd be shipping out Seal Sidebottom. I'd be looking at a couple of other guys that we can get rid of for sure. But that's just my opinion. Again, as I said, looks good on the highlights. Very versatile. Yeah, I 100% agree. Versatile character, can play heaps of different positions, can play forward, can play back, which is probably what we need at the moment. So, yeah, I definitely, I can't say this is a bad deal because we're probably going to get him for chips. Geelong are going to get weaker, which is great as well. And, he's a good young talent. He's developed. He looks like he's got a good, good bit of size on him. So, yeah, I'd definitely be excited about this one. This one would get me excited. And then if we can have him, Johnson, Myercheck as a forward line, I think that's decent. All right. Let's have a look here. Got some highlights. Maybe I don't get copyrighted for this, but it's only a small channel, so it should be fine. Let's have a watch. Actually going to mute the audio. It's really annoying. Okay, so have a look here. You can take it and test a grab. Looks like he's a bit agile. Left footer, which excites me. I love left footers. As soon as you tell me he's a left footer, I'm sold. I'll take him. Good field kicking ability. Seems like he's got decent attributes all around. So, it seems like a well-rounded game. I'm excited for this one. I think this is a great pickup. And, this is the type of business that Graham Wright's hopefully going to be doing going forward. Smart deals, ones that we might not expect, but, in the long run, work out to be really good. If Sidey was open to a move, I'd look at that too, although I'd rather trade for future picks so it wasn't eaten up by the bid. I mean, me too. Me too, absolutely. But realistically, I don't think we're going to get a lot for Sidebottom anyway. There's only a few clubs that would take him. I'd say clubs in a window currently. So, you're looking at Melbourne. Geelong, Dad FC might take him. I think Richmond would look at him as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Richmond looked at him. Teams towards the top end of the table. I don't think anyone in the bottom half would take him. Yeah, that's also true, Tom. That is also true. I rate that. It's a good idea. Well, in that case, sorry, my voice is really letting me down. It's been a good 50-minute discussion, but I'm probably going to end it, to be honest, here, unfortunately, and save some stuff for Monday to chat about. Now, if you guys do have any questions, obviously, we're going to be doing a podcast with Sloop Luke, so it'll just be me and him, but, do come along. It's me on Monday. Very, very excited for that. I think it's going to be great. Have a look at Swoop. What he's up to, what he does with himself, as well as talking Collingwood, of course. But yeah, it's just fun making this content, and hopefully, the first podcast will go really smoothly. So I want to have it on YouTube live, and then we'll do hopefully on Spotify, Apple Podcast, etc. I just need to figure out how to do that because I'm not 100% sure yet. So yeah, it's a great time to be alive. Check me out on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Lachlan_Gommer. Providing all the updates on there for the show. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Good discussion today. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for the comments. Make sure you prepare some questions for Monday. Hopefully all you guys can come. going to be heaps of fun. Obviously, we'll be able to talk about the grand final as well. Yeah, take it easy, guys. Thanks for coming by. Have a good one. Actually, you know what? I will say, sorry, before I disappear. Where are we at with Dib? Feel like it'd be a good asset. Seems to be forward mid. Yes, absolutely. I rate this. I think he'd be a forward. I'd say he's a small forward. Yep, I definitely think we'll match that as well. I've heard good things from him from the VFL guys. Tip for the flag is Melbourne. I don't think anyone will beat Melbourne. I want Melbourne to win personally, but we'll see what happens. I actually don't know. I feel like finishing top of the ladder is a bad omen, and we've seen over the years the minor premiers don't usually win the flag. So the doggies might do it. What time, Carlson? It'll probably be about 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 7:30. Make sure you check my Twitter. That's where I'll be providing the updates. I'll let you guys know when I'm going to be live. All right. Easy, guys. I'm actually going to head off this time, so take it easy. Thanks for coming by. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you haven't already. Really appreciate it. Take it easy.